Welcome to Igniting Inspired Insight, a space for raw conversations with real humans. I am your host, Jae, a teacher, student, and guide of expanding and empowering energy and love and exploring and offering everyday wisdom. In each short episode, we get to ask and explore three questions that open the door to reflection, resonance, and revelation. One question I ask every guest, and we call that the common thread. The next question they don't know I'm going to ask, we call that in the moment. And then the third is one they're going to ask me, and we call that reflective light. And I don't know what they're going to ask. So today I have the most beautiful human ever and a dear friend, Rick. I'm really excited to have you here and to be one of the first in this journey of an igniting inspired insight. And not just because you're a dear friend, but because of the conversations that we have. You were like top of my list of like who I wanted to start this with. So I'm really excited and really honored that you're here and to share in this corridor with you because I mean our combos are always ignited anyway. And it's so cool to be able to share that energy with others. So this is a space for trust, truth, and a kind of insight that comes from simply being human. So let's do it. In a moment, what or share a moment with us. Who are you?
Well, thank you for that lovely intro, Jay. I do enjoy our conversations. They are very, um, they're really explorative, and I appreciate you having me on your show. So thank you very much.
It's so exciting.
Who am I? Well, that's a really good question because yeah, you
Go
can.
wherever you like
I,
with it, my
I
friend.
could ponder on this my entire life, and I could still be seeking answers for that one.
That's true.
Um, and it's something that I'm still trying to find out of what label do I identify myself of who I am.
Mm.
But to give you the short answer, uh, my name is Rick, and I'm the type of person that is a lover of life, loves to connect with people, wants to make an impact in other people's lives, to have a beautiful family that can inspire others that are on the same path, that they too can have what I call the ultimate lifestyle. And I see myself as also a business person that's solution focused. Um, and yeah, I'm a nature lover as well. So there are a few words that describe who I am.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. And so much more. So let's get into this first question, this common thread. One, and this is one that you got to ponder and contemplate on. So the first question is, what's one belief, moment, or experience that changed the way you see the world?
Hmm. Well, my example I'm drawing from to answer that question has come from an experience about 5 years ago when I experimented with some psychedelics. And through this experience, this guided experience, I got to connect to something much, much greater than myself. And that totally shifted my entire life. And the way I described that experience was that prior to what I experienced, which I'll share very soon, I was stumbling through the dark and I didn't know where I was going. And then all of a sudden, there was a very bright light. And I knew the difference between when I was in an altered state and this this different reality that I was experiencing, and it was a very black and white understanding. And so when I saw this light, it was something. so profound that it changed the course of my life from that point onwards. And essentially what I experienced
Mm.
was a pure feeling of love. And it was almost like it was a light of consciousness. And it just shone so brightly that it penetrated my soul and it shook me to the point where I didn't know what to do with myself for months afterwards, understanding that there's something much greater behind this reality we live in, this human experience, and to understand that, well, that I didn't know what to do with myself. And so that was the start of my journey of purpose and looking at the beliefs that I held and that operated my life. So essentially, it refocused me to focus on, which was a very appropriate theme, love and light, essentially.
I love that. And I'm looking at, as you're talking about the light, I'm like looking at both of us. We've got light beams in our in our recording, which is beautiful.
Woo!
It was that it was a I like to call them as moments of impact, right? And with such a massive moment of impact, of course, like when you said it took months, it's like the integration is real. The integration and even the articulation of all of that was received is like it takes a minute because you're not just shifted, you didn't just get an idea. It's like the whole being of who you are was in a transition.
Hmm. Yeah, and I've shared this story with you before, so you can relate to where I was coming from. And I've used many words to try and describe this experience. And that's the great and also limiting thing about words is, we can try to describe that feeling and sensation, but it only really scratches the surface. Um, and yeah, that integration was still happening today, to be honest. I'm still finding words that really flesh out the essence of that experience.
Mm. And I think another reason for that too is possibly because we're always expanding and exploring what that means for us and how life is letting that flow through us, right? And that's something that I know about you is that you're in this awareness of and deep presence for life and what's coming up for you and what's coming through you and listening to others and in the field that in which you're working and supporting in as well. And you're letting that guide that light and
Mm.
what you feel is needed. Would you say that's true?
Yes, I would. Yeah, and the key word there for me is listening.
Mhm.
And what happened when I was stumbling through the dark, and then all of a sudden there was this bright floodlight. It was a reorientation of like, oh, that's where I'm going in life. And so yeah, there's just a recalibration, a constant recalibration, and these words are a really great way of reminding of the direction that I'm going and my purpose.
Yeah, yeah. How do you think that it changed the way you see the world?
Our problems that we think we have are relevant. However, love triumphs. And if we just focus on the things that bring us joy and happiness and be grateful for life in itself, then all our problems really do melt away. And and it feels incredible to be focusing on that rather than our problems.
Yeah, I hear you. It's expanding. We've had these conversations too. It's like expanding into the deeper why rather than into the minutia of this
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Yeah, the why. And I always refer to a lot of people in our conversations about vision. Like what is your purpose? Where are we going with our life? And what is your why? And when I've got a lot more clarity on what my purpose and my vision is, and that's what I'm focusing on. And it feels like it's got love. It got these beautiful words and it's got love and expansion and family and joy and fun, as you would have heard from the very start. You know, as you would have heard, our focus creates our reality, and I'm really embodying that saying. So just refocusing on the things that bring you joy and love.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the essence of living to me. True living
Ah,
is that.
and it feels great.
It
I'd rather
does.
feel I'd rather feel that and live my life full.
Yes, yes. Amen. I hear that. That's a beautiful answer. I love it. So good. So now we get to move on to the in the moment question for you, one that you don't know until right now. But this question I'm really excited to ask, and actually think it ripples off what you've been saying and you've been talking about, like where you were, where you are now. So this question, what would your 80-year-old self want to tell you right now?
Oh. What would my 80-year-old self tell me right now?
Yeah, what would that older version of you want to tell you right now? I think this is such a powerful question because we often think about the younger versions and what they need.
Mm,
And it also, for me, because I don't know about you, but I often think about what do I want to be proud of, or opposite, what do I not want to regret when I get to my end of my
mm,
days? But we're not saying that 80 is the end of your days. But what would your 80-year-old self, so another 40 more, 47 years for you
nice.
of wisdom, what do they have to say to you?
Life's too short to worry. It's that simple. I just had a moment to reflect on in this portion of my life, and there's been a quite an awareness around stress, and particularly around thoughts that cause worry, and worry causes stress, and stress causes an upregulation in my system. And that does not feel nice. It feels yuck. And my wife the other day alluded me to a really important point, that being the man of the house, I'm a weather maker. And so how I show up in my house with my family influences how they feel and how they behave and how they grow and their happiness. And I really had to look at that moment and realize, wow, these thoughts that are stemming from essentially beliefs, limiting beliefs, have impacted the people around me, and I'm dragging them down. Not only am I dragging myself down, I'm dragging my son down and the ones closest around me. So my 80-year-old self would say, life's too short to worry, man. If you want to get to what is it, 111 years, deregulate that nervous system and you'll live longer. So
Yeah,
yeah, there you go.
I hear that. I hear the integrity, and that's one thing that I really admire about you is your honesty and sharing your truth, even in like it's up to me, like to be the weatherman. And you, rather than being deflated by that, you hear that and you move forward with that information and you let it inspire you and you let it really impact the ripple outward.
Mm,
And I mean, there's a lot of emotional leverage in the fact that that was reflected to you in what matters most, which is your whānau.
hmm
But when you start to do that, because how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So when you do that within your home space, that ripples out into the threads of and the vibration of who you are in all
Hmm.
that you do.
Hmm. I love that word you said, which was inspire. To inspire myself. It's also to inspire others as well. And on my 33rd birthday recently had, I shared a a story. Um, I showed a bit of vulnerability around an addiction that I had with a particular substance, and it inspired those people by showing my true colors and being honest and you know it's given people an opportunity to start a conversation that might be difficult for them to start. So yeah, I love those values of honesty and authenticity and vulnerability, because that's what really inspires people at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. And it's creating those moments to offer reflection in the vulnerabilities of who you are, because that's where the real change happens, right? And
Mm.
also I think with the way we've been conditioned, there's a resistance to showing those vulnerabilities because they are seen as weakness or as lack or as less than or as not good enough.
Hmm.
Whereas as you're expressing, and we know because of practice, when we lean into those pieces and parts, not only do we get to transform our own life, but when we share that, people get to connect to that truth within themselves.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
such an opportunity, and your wisdom being an offering for them.
Hmm. I love the word "and" because it's such a conjoining word where you can be vulnerable and strong. And
I totally
I
agree.
vulnerability creates strength.
Hmm.
And and at the end of the day, if we can show up our best selves,
Hmm.
and embody these wonderful values that I encourage everyone to find at least their top two.
Hmm.
It's the way we show up that really influences and impacts the people around us. And another word I haven't included about who I am is a successful person.
Hmm. Yes.
And the structure to success is embodying these values. And it creates success all around, the people we hang out with as well.
Yes. I agree. So I think with where you're at and with the values that you're sharing, foresight, maybe a bit of like manifesting. I think that your 80-year-old self is going to tell you how proud they are.
Well, I can tell my 30-year-old self how proud I am. I looked at some photos with my wife the other day, and we saw the positive gap. I, so we got negative gap, which is looking into the future and lack of attaining or attainment.
Mhm.
And then you look back at where we've come, and that's a positive gap.
Mhm.
And I'm so proud of the achievements. And that's one weakness of mine, is really celebrating my achievements. And that was a real moment for me.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's
Celebrate
nice to
achievements.
reflect.
Yeah, 100%. Celebrating your achievements is a practice.
It's a
It's
skill.
something we get to, but it is. Yeah, practice leads to skill, 100%. And it's something that I keep coming back to, and I cannot underestimate, like over, like just I can't to recommend it more of it being like this foundation of importance in which you can rise from.
Mm. Celebrating changes the pace of operation as well. Because
Oh yes, the
I feel
vibration.
like we're in
Oh.
we're in constant striving and hustle and go and like we really want to achieve, and we tick things off and we keep going and I forget to to stop and be like, hell yeah. that was amazing, and slow
Yeah.
down. And that's essentially what regulates my nervous system. Is
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that. Because and for me it was when I understood that, we're wired to thrive and we're wired to keep going, like to keep pushing ourselves, which I love and understand. But at the same time, with that, we can forget that we've come that far.
mm,
Because we keep, I'm doing this because we keep pushing the needle forward. We get here and then we're like, what's next? Instead of like,
mm,
but wait a minute, look where
mm,
we've gone, which is what you were saying in that positive space. But also, it's like, even on a daily, like, we're wired for what didn't go right, what we didn't, all of the negatives, like what could go wrong. It's like, well, no, look at how far you've come. And then that becomes that power and that beautiful, solid foundation rather than a wobbly one, right?
mm-hmm.
Mm.
100%. And that I see there's two branches in life. Well, there's one, the oneness that gets thrown around. But that gets broken down in two things: is lack of love and an absence of love, or love.
Mhm.
And to look back and to celebrate, that falls under that love category.
Yes.
And that love category feels amazing. It feels good, rather than that lack of, which is more in that fear category,
Mhm.
or the absence of. And so, yeah, reorientating ourselves to that, of those achievements, of that feeling, that's what causes a feeling of success.
Yeah, 100%. And for those listening and they're like, how do we do that? Let's go back to where we started. It's a practice and it's a skill you get to build.
And a remembrance,
And a
and a remembering.
remembrance. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I hear in that is like it's this funnel, right? It's either energy in, you create it, or energy out, it will leave.
Mm.
It's like, where is it welcome? But also, like, what we appreciate appreciates.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And even that is motivating to me. I'm like, I just keep reminding myself, what we appreciate appreciates. Keep doing it, Jay.
Mm. Nice. Yep. And then you become appreciative.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that ripples off you. Like, it's attractive
It
in
is.
all the right ways.
I 100% agree. If we want to become more attractive in our lives, ooze that what of which we want to be,
Mhm.
and define that, and then become that type of person. It's so
Mhm.
attractive. It really
Mhm.
is.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be loud and proud and boisterous and like blah. It can just be like subtle and
Mhm.
gentle and encouraging, or whatever way it shows up. It doesn't need to be expressed in a specific way. It's an energy, right?
Mm. I love the value of humility. Or not, it's actually humble.
Yeah, I
They're
hear
one
you.
and the same, but there's slight different definitions for me. But humbleness is, yeah, it's an easier way to go.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think that humble I think it's a play. It keeps me in check, and it's something that helps me align with integrity.
Mm.
Would you agree?
Mm. Yeah. Yes.
You don't have to.
Yeah. No, it does. Like, there's learnings that come from it.
Mhm.
When we bite the bitter pill, or we become the student, you know, we start to really work on those things.
Mhm.
We drop out of ego. Big heads don't serve us. Yeah.
They teach us.
They teach us.
We're
And
paying attention.
and through that experience I experienced with the light,
Yeah.
it was a very humbling experience.
Mhm.
It's reset me back to ground zero. And I did have an
We
ego
need,
death.
hey.
Sorry, say again.
I said that's something we need. That's been some beautiful moments of impact for me. I remember as like when I'm like deeply humbled by life.
Mm,
Whoa.
hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And once we get to the other side of it, the integration, then we can appreciate it in the moment. Like, fuck.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah.
Uh,
Beautiful awareness that you and I could go in seven different directions. Let's move on to the next question. All right, we're here for question number 3 now, which is reflecting light. And that means that you have a question for me.
I most certainly do.
Okay, let's hear it.
From the time I've known you, Jay, you've been very curious and interested in people's lives. And you've been an incredible support just out of that curiosity. I too am curious about what what is your why? Like why are you doing all these things that you're doing?
Hmm.
What is your drive and your motive in life? And where do you see yourself in the future? What's your vision?
Mm, that's such a beautiful question.
Sorry, it's a bit of a loaded question.
No, I love it. It's amazing. So as you were speaking, what is my why has transformed. And this is where I get to share that like the people pleasing past version of me started this thread that's become my why now. So I've always been someone who's wanted to make everyone else okay and to support and to guide and to uplift and to love on. And so that's where I see the attribute of people pleasing kind of guided me here. But the why is that through my own experiences and my own suffering, realizing that us as humans are in a lot of unnecessary suffering. So, yes, there is a suffering that we cannot control, which is there to teach us. I'm not saying it happens for a reason. However, there is reasons that we can gather from it, the strengths and the resiliences and the vulnerabilities. But I also see from my own painful experience and experiences that there is so much suffering that we are unbeknownst to us, unconsciously until it's conscious, choosing. And that is because of the limits and the lack of belief and the old wounds that we are not yet healing. And when we carry those wounds, when we don't look at them, when we avoid them, it's like having a wound and not cleaning it. It's like letting it fester. It's like ignoring it because we don't feel worthy of like, I want to take care of this. So my why is to support people to find that space of first safety within themselves, and then to be in a place that you and I are at within ourselves of curiosity, of exploration, of lifting people up, of understanding that the choices that we make vibrate outwards and letting that be an honor and a blessing rather than an obligation. Although sometimes when we get busy, it can feel that way. Um, and my why has changed more since my sister died. And I think it was something that I was exploring or that I was like looking for but didn't quite like know yet. And it leads to it ripples off that like we're in us unnecessary suffering and I don't want I want to be a light for that. But the next level, which is what I love about you, is that and what I've learned from my sister passing is that what else are we here for but to have like the most fucking brilliant time? Like, what else is this body for but to love on it and to have and receive pleasure and play? And like that to me is like, this is how we could live. No matter our circumstances, we get to be in play and in pleasure and in connection and in love with everything that we're doing, including the healing and including the pain and loving
Mm.
on that. And that's what passing my sister passing taught me in its entirety. Like there's a lot, but that in itself is like we don't know how long we've got. And I know we hear this from others, we hear it a lot, but it's not until you really like perhaps experience death or have a near-death moment or are in deep suffering that you get on the other side and you're like, fuck, like this is what we're here for, is to give it everything we've got and be with that 80-year-old self so fucking proud of the choices we made and the risks we took and the vulnerabilities that we let into and those discomforts that we saw for what they were and went, I'm gonna do it anyway. So that's my why.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad we've got that on recording.
So are we? Yeah. Oh my God. I love that. I'm so glad you asked me. I'm so glad. I'm a little bit emotional.
That's beautiful. I heard I heard words of love and space, and I heard, yeah, like processing. I heard releasing and letting go, and I heard caring. I heard compassion. That's beautiful, Jay.
Mm.
You're wonderful. I'm so glad that we all, whoever's listening right now, has your support, because you're truly aligned to, you know where you're going. And that's nice to be around people who know where they're going. So
Mm. It's divine reflection, my friend. It's divine reflection. Thank you for hearing that and seeing it and asking that actually. Because I mean, as a projector, that's how I roll. Like I am best aligned when someone invites me into a question.
mm,
And then I'm just like,
mm-hmm,
which is
mm-hmm.
how why we riff the way we do. Like
Mm.
projector.
Oh, I think you've just alluded to the, like, an answer, which is the question.
Mhm. And that's been the essence of my life. You know, even when I go to see a therapist or whatever, whoever, and they're like, what are you here for? I'm like, for what I don't know yet.
Mm,
They're like, what answers do you need? I'm like, I don't, the questions I haven't been looking for yet. The questions
hmm
I don't know to be asking. That's what I want. And that's what they say, right? Is the difference between some differences, there's more between maybe religion and spirituality is like, and that's how I see it as spirituality is asking the question rather than there are the answers and following the rules. It's like, what are the questions I need to be asking, exploring?
mm,
And you reflected that back when you asked the question, is like, I've been in and am always in the curiosity.
mm. The
So that's,
curiosity to ask questions.
yeah.
There's a great quote from, it's not from him, but I heard it from my friend Zebulon
Mm.
Horrell. He's a genius, and he had this quote he got from somewhere, which was, questions are the steering wheel of the mind. And so again, what you focus on, you create in your life. And when we ask ourselves the question, what is my purpose? What is my why? The pure, just the value of curiosity, which is, deep down driven by spirituality.
Hmm.
What is my deeper purpose of in life? All the brilliant questions that are coming up. That is where the journey really begins. And I appreciate our conversations, because you know what questions to ask, because you're a good listener.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I love pining for the real truth, right? Looking for
Oh,
exploring and not
yeah.
pining, exploring. But what I also heard in that is like if someone's listening to the piece I was saying about like we're in unnecessary suffering, it's like the answer to that is curiosity instead of like the measuring, the comparing, the judgment. It's like the answer is curiosity. Like why? Not I shouldn't be behaving that way. It's like why? What's the reason for that? Where
Mm-hmm.
does that come from? And let me pull it apart. And there's a
Mm,
softness in that too, right? And that's I think that's what guides the healing in a really beautiful way is like I'm in the curiosity of myself
mm, mm-hmm,
and I get to do that. And then I
mm-hmm.
can turn it off if it's too much, but I get to come back.
Yeah. I learned a very practical tool through another friend, and she said there's two branches to the Buddhism. There's two types of meditation. One is just being, which to me is just turning off and connecting deeper, but essentially just turning the mind off. And the other one is to go into contemplation. And in that space is the best space to ask those questions. Because I'm not sure if people have heard, but we have all of the answers within. And if we can support each other to find the right questions and ask those questions in that very quiet space, in a space of contemplation, the answers will pop up.
I agree. I gotta rein it in. Like I've got so many questions, but I'm rein it in because we've got time, right? So I'm gonna write some down for next time because we're gonna do this again. But with the time that we have, I want to reflect that question back to you. Like, what is your vision? What is your why? You shared actually a lot of pieces just while you think about like your purpose in terms of like being guided by that light and what your family mean to you and like who you want to be and how you want to show up. What's the greater why? Or maybe you peel it back. What are some of the smaller whys that equal the why?
Mm. I'll answer your former question. What's the greater why? Because it's a great tie around to the start of this conversation. Through that experience, when I was stumbling through the dark, not knowing what my why was, what my purpose in life was, and then all of a sudden, that bright light of pure love shone, and my heart opened, and I experienced the most euphoric, mind blowing, well, mind absent um, experience that is so incomprehensible and so profound to try and describe with words. That feeling was my why. It gave me a reference point to where I was going. And after that, I said to myself, I promised myself, I will reach that state of enlightenment again without the use of drugs. So that was my promise that came from essentially love. Coming back to that branch, my why. My why is to create a space for people to drop into into the authentic selves, to experience that branches of love, to connect with themselves, with each other, and with nature. That is my why.
That's the greatest why. I think this is a really beautiful opportunity if you want to share, because I know you, to share about where people can find you or find that type of conversation with your team.
Mm,
Because there is an offering and an opportunity for these very conversations or whatever's needed for you within the business that you've created.
mm.
So how do people find that? Where do they find that?
Well, just like you, Jay, I also hold space for people to come together and connect. And I run a business here in Queenstown, New Zealand, that's called Wellspace. It's a wellness space, but it's not just the wellness space. It's a space where you can connect with others and have real conversations and share a sauna together. So our main product is contrast hydrotherapy. We've got a beautiful, authentic Estonian Finnish wet sauna that's on the edge of the river, and we pair it up with cold therapy. And through that modality, you connect with yourself. You experience this wonderful state of bliss, and you drop layers, you drop status, you drop ego, and in a nutshell, it's a really great way to relax and to connect with others. Um, yeah, I love it because it's not only incredibly healthy for your body and your mind, but it's a great way to make friends. So you can find us at wellspace.co.nz. We've got an Instagram and a Facebook, and we run regular community events and also have 5 to 7 days a week with sauna.
Yeah, I had to bring that up because that's where I met you, but also I know that what a lot of the things that we've been speaking about today, that connection, that exploration, that curiosity are available through that, as well as the epic wellness piece, which I had been missing. Um, I couldn't not share that for, the benefit of anyone who is in and around or planning to be in Queenstown.
Mm. Yeah, honestly, type in sauna will be top of the search engine. Come and join the community. We're all really friendly and open, and I'm sure you won't be disappointed. I can promise that.
Thank you so much for our kōrero today, my friend. I'm honored, and I know we'll be able to riff on this again, I'm sure.
Thanks for having me, Jay. I really appreciate
Oh
it.
gosh, you're welcome. And I want to thank everyone who was listening to this igniting inspired insight, and we surely did that today. I hope something here landed in your heart, sparkled a shift, or simply reminded you of your own knowing. If this is a conversation that's something that lit up within you, or you feel like you want to share with a friend, which can lead to a deeper conversation with them and let it ripple out in your own way, we would be honored. You can find out more about my work or about Wellspace. I'll link that in the show notes. And until next time, stay open, stay grounded, and let your light guide the way. Ciao for now.